Hi everyone, my name's Philosopher, and today we're going to be doing a game recap of Ninja Gaiden, a hack and slash action adventure game. And before we begin, if you like this video, hit the like button, and if you really like the video, drop a sub. 2004 was a big year for games. Just to name a few games that came out, there was Half-Life 2, GTA San Andreas, Halo 2, World of Warcraft, and Burnout. That year released a lot of classics, but there's one more game that got released that people believe to be the best action-adventure game of all time. Published by Tecmo and developed by Team Ninja, best known for making Dead or Alive, a fighting game, Neo, an action-adventure game similar to Dark Souls, Hyrule Warrior, and their new up-and-coming game, Long, and directed by, and I'm sorry for my pronunciation, it's terrible, Tomonobu Itagaki. And well, this is his picture, and Jesus, I think I know where this game is heading. Development started in 1999, and 8 years since the release of the original Ninja Gaiden that was released for the NES. Itagaki wanted to reboot the entire franchise, but he wanted to stay loyal to the difficulty, and Itagaki wanted the game to be as unforgiving and as brutal as possible. It is said when playtesters complained that the game was too hard, Itagaki then went back and made it even harder. Itagaki liked to say that in other games, the enemies existed for you to kill, but in Ninja Gaiden, enemies existed to kill you. But there was a few issues along the way. Mostly they didn't know what platform they were making the game for. It started on an arcade board, but then it went to the Dreamcast, and well, we know how the Dreamcast went. So it got moved to the next generation, the PlayStation 2, but then Microsoft shipped the first Xbox dev kits. Itagaki took it immediately, and Ninja Gaiden was coming to the Xbox as an exclusive. 5 years of development, and on March 2nd, 2004, Ninja Gaiden was released, and it instantly became a cult classic, with nothing but outstanding reviews and considered to be one of the hardest games ever made. Ninja Gaiden in its first month sold 362,000 copies just in the United States. By 2006, Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black had sold 55,000 copies and made over $27 million just in the US. With the rest of the world buying the game, consumers purchased 1.5 million copies of Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black by August 2007. IGN named it the best action game on the Xbox, and XPlay gave it the best action and adventure game. Electronic Gaming Monthly declared that no Xbox should go without Ninja Gaiden, making it a massive success. With that, the version I am playing is Sigma, which is a remake of the original. Since Ninja Gaiden just got released on Xbox Game Pass, I thought it would be a good time to try it out. There's also a black version of the game, which in 2004 Team Ninja released downloadable content called Hurricane Packs. There is Hurricane Pack 1 and Hurricane Pack 2, and were released for absolutely free. Itagaki said since the packs were born out of the team's interests, they didn't care if they charged the players for it. I find that's pretty sweet. Hurricane Pack 1 featured a revamped story mode, tweaked encounters with the AI of enemies to increase their difficulty, and added new enemies too, and made a change to the camera system so players could now control the camera and change its angle. It also added an intercept skill letting players counter an enemy attack. Hurricane Pack 2 added an alternate world where players had to fight through several encounters to rescue Rachel from 2 new bosses, and added another enemy. Itagaki viewed Black as the final version of the game, and looking online that people seem to like Black more than Sigma, since Sigma made some changes to its gameplay, and from what I understand looking into the differences between them, seems that Sigma changed some puzzles. There's 4 extra missions where you play as Rachel, and combat was changed, but I couldn't find a clear list of the differences, so I'm just going to be covering Sigma. With all that, we're going level by level and doing a deep dive to see what this game is all about, and does it live up to its reputation. To get an understanding of my viewpoints, I did not play this game on release or as a kid. I don't have any nostalgic feelings towards this game. And with that, we're going in completely blind. We'll go over the lore, story, gameplay, and everything else, and I'll share my thoughts along the way. So upon starting the game, we get an introduction that I'll let play.
Blade, a legendary sword, said to have been carved out of the bones of a black dragon. It brought plague and death to the world during the age of ancient myth. It has been sealed by those of the dragon lineage since the dawn of history because of its incredible capacity for evil, made possible by the souls of the vanquished black dragons that dwell within it. It is said that if the blade's seal were to be broken, it would gather the hatred and evil of mankind and confer it upon the one who wields it, transforming him into the devil incarnate. However, not even those of the dragon lineage who protect it know the true extent of its power. The dragon sword, another weapon protected by the dragon lineage since ancient times. This sword, which is said to have been used by ancient warriors to slay the black dragons, is now handed down from generation to generation in the Hayabusa ninja clan, the modern descendants of the dragon lineage. And now, the dragon sword is gripped firmly in the hands of young ninja Ryu Hayabusa.
We learn about an evil dark dragon blade that's powerful. We learn about who we are. We are young Ryu Hayabusa, part of the dragon lineage, and we're also part of the Hayabusa clan. We get to the main menu, and I quickly wanted to point out the other game modes. There's a survival mode where you fight wave after wave to complete the challenge. There's 15 levels, 5 for each category: Weapon Master, Speed Master, and Rachel Master. And there's also these ninja trials that are basically just missions that you can complete. But I won't be talking about these. But I wanted to point them out. Other than that, there's a rank system where you can see what score other players got during their campaign. But that's about it. So we're just going to hop right into the campaign and begin our journey. There are a few different difficulty options, but I'm just going to play on normal since it says it's good for players who play many action games, which I do, but I don't really play too many hack and slash ones, and you will be able to see that in my gameplay. So if you're expecting like masterclass fighting, I am very sorry, and you might even cringe, but you know what? That's all right. But keep this difficulty setting in mind for later on in the video. So we begin with chapter 1, and Rio just dies on a guy, and we just start to play. No cutscenes, no explanation, just straight into the game. For the controls, we can move left, right, up, and down. We can look around with the analog stick. We have X for our light attack, Y for our heavy, B is for our throwable items, and we start the game with shurikens, and we have an unlimited amount of them. A is to jump, and we can block using LB. One thing to note is when guarding, Rio can block all attacks, but if he gets hit too many times, our guard will break, and it'll leave us wide open for attacks. So while it's a hack and slash game, we have to be careful. We can't just sit there and block. If there's too many enemies, we might have to dodge or jump away and then go in for another attack, which adds some strategy to the game. And it's not just X to win. Then if you move in any direction while blocking, he will do a roll instead to get away. And LT does a first person mode. You stand still and you can look around. D-pad is for switching between potions. Top left is your health bar. And that big circle where the health is shows what Nimpo ability you have equipped. And I'll get more into that when we get one. So far, combat seems like a lot of fun. Controls feel pretty tight and precise, which I'm kind of surprised by since the game is now 17 years old. Once an enemy is defeated, they drop essence, or those orbs you see when they die, and also some destructible objects drop them too. And there's a few different types of essence. The yellow one is actually currency that you can spend at a shop to buy items or upgrades. But you can also use essence to do a special charge attack for massive damage, but you'll use up the essence that you gathered so far. So you have to decide if you need to buy potions or you want to get an upgrade, or do you need help with a boss fight to try to get some extra damage in. I think that's an amazing idea, and it adds some strategy to the currency. Blue essence is for health, and red replenishes your nimble. Going left, we find a chest that contains the elixir of spiritual life, which is our health potion. We can carry 10 at a time, and it heals our health by a little bit. Making our way to the right, we see a door that's locked, so we have to make our way up the cliff instead. So here, we learn how to traverse the terrain. But as soon as we jump, flying shuriken flies right by us. I wonder who's throwing those. And attached to it is a note, and this acts as our tutorial, and throughout the campaign, it will help you figure out where to go. Climbing up the cliff, we learn that Ryu can run up walls, run along walls, swing on poles, shimmy across ledges, and he does this jump back and forth on certain walls to be able to climb them. I think this climbing is alright for the era of games, and by that I think it's kinda awful. He doesn't do what you tell him to do sometimes, and I'll show examples later on. You also find a great spirit elixir, which is way more potent than the regular health potions, and it will heal us to the max. But we can only carry 5. We make our way to the fortress, fighting guys along the way. We get trapped and we must fight our way out. And then in the next area, we see a suit of armor, and that's holding something, but we can't get to it yet. So moving on, we find Lives of 1,000 Gods, and that increases our health by a bit. We also find a technique scroll that teaches us new combos. We can find more throughout the campaign too. In the next room, we discover a dragon statue, and this acts as our save point. There's no auto save in this game, so when you die, you're back to where you last saved. We make our way up the stairs and we get to another door, but that's locked, so we have to find the key. Running back, we fall through a trap door. We find an item called Fangs of the Samurai, so we can now run back and place it in the suit of armor. That gives us the key to the door. Entering inside, the door locks. We get ambushed and we gotta fight them off. We beat them and open the door to this roid looking dude with nunchucks, and he's looking pretty pissed. And we get to fight him, and this is our first boss battle. He's got a few different attacks. He has standard attacks, and he has this annoying charge. All right, let me get up. Fucking stop. Stop. Jesus. And now I found one thing I absolutely hate in this game, and it's the grapple attack. Almost all the enemies in this game have this attack, and they do it all the fucking time. I hate it. It's just so annoying. You'll be attacking, blocking, and you're doing really good, and then some dick just comes out and grabs you and throws you across the room. It gets old really quick, and it's so fast sometimes you don't have the reaction time to roll or jump away. This is because the game doesn't want you to just be attacking non-stop, and the grapple attacks are there to prevent that, but I still fucking hate it. I die from a grapple attack, but luckily I have a Talisman of Rebirth, which gets used if you die. What it does is it revives you right on the spot, replenishes all your health, and your nimble as well. And you can also carry 3 of these at a time. They're super useful. But really, this boss is not too bad. I beat him on the first try, which is a pretty good start. Maybe this game ain't as hard as people say. So then they just stop fighting, and we find Ryu is talking with the enemy. As it turns out, and the game doesn't tell you this, but that's our cousin Mirai, and we're just here to visit him. Like, Mirai, why wouldn't you tell your men that I'm your cousin and I'm coming over to see you, so you know, don't kill me? And why does Ryu have to kill 30 guys? Does he do this every time he visits? Because that's a pretty hardcore family. I guess they're both in the wrong, but still. They end up talking about the dragon sword Ryu has, and Ryu explains that his father is out training and left the sword with him, which, if you're training, wouldn't you take the sword? But anyways, Mirai then asks about the dark dragon blade. Ryu says it's being kept in the village under guard. No one's gonna take it. Impossible. Mirai says that it's such a waste for a powerful sword not to be used, but since he's not part of the dragon lineage, it's not his concern. We cut to a girl running to the main building, and she bursts through the door, and she's stunned to see Ryu there, but she says the village is being attacked. Oh shit. Ryu gets up and looks out the window to see his village on fire. And with that completes chapter 1. I think it's a great tutorial level. It covers all the basics from fighting to climbing, and the bosses can be very hard, so it sets the mood for the rest of the game and what to expect. Overall, it's a great introduction, and at the end of every level, you get your score. Now, score depends on a few things. Time to clear, how long it took you to complete the level, how many kills you got, how many essence you have, and how much nimble you have left at the end of each level. Nimble being your special attack, so if you have none, you get less points, and if it's full, you get more points. But, so if you want to use it, you have to replenish it before the end of the level to get max point, and karma is all those points combined. Chapter 2 begins, and we gotta make our way to the village. Shit's going down, so we run all the way back to the beginning of the level where that door was locked. It is now unlocked and we can head through. Inside, we find Art of the Fire Wheel, which is a Ninpo ability, which is just basically a special attack that can do a lot of damage. And on normal enemies, it's a one-hit kill, and on bosses, it does a considerable amount of damage. And you can find other Ninpo abilities throughout the campaign. This one creates a fireball that swings around Ryu, acting almost like a shield, so when enemies get close, they'll get hit and fly back. But the downside to Ninpo abilities is you have a limit on how many times you can use it. You see right underneath the health bar is that glowing fire orb. Once you use it, that disappears, meaning you can't use it again. You have to replenish it, either with devil elixirs, which just refills your Ninpo, acting like a health potion, or sometimes enemies will drop that red essence, and that would refill them as well. The one thing though is the game doesn't tell you how to use it. I could have missed a tutorial note, so I didn't know how to use this ability till later on. I take the lift down, and I get stuck here, because I didn't know how to cross, but I finally figured it out after an embarrassing amount of time, and we get a new item, the smoke bomb, which stuns your enemies, but I don't really use them. Entering the village, we fight some more guys and we get a new enemy type. This magic guy, he floats around and can teleport. He throws Hadoukens at you and they can trace. They also teleport right in front of you and start stabbing. They're not too bad, just a little bit annoying. We climb up the building and we find that spandex chainmail girl. I wonder if there's an untouched market for that. Like spandex, chainmail, come get your spandex chainmail here. Anyways, her name is Ainane. Luckily, she's still alive and she tells us about a samurai that's in all black armor. And he's too strong for us. You can't take him. Like, yeah, right, girl. You think that's gonna stop me? Bitch, please. But she also hands us a bow. Oh, sweet, thanks. For the bow, we can use it as a projectile, same as a smoke bomb, or we can go into first person mode with the bow for more precise controls. It's also used for puzzles later on. We drop down and we find a merchant, this old guy statue, and he sells a few things, from health potions, devil elixirs, arrows, smoke bombs, and whatever else you need. He also sells this Art of the Infernal Ninpo ability. This is by far my favorite one. You basically just shoot a giant fireball and it does a shit ton of damage. I basically use it for the rest of the game. Now, there's also a blacksmith option, and this is to upgrade your weapons. And in hindsight, I should have known what blacksmithing meant. But when I click on it, it shows a weapon that I already have. And I thought it meant I could just buy this weapon again. If I got rid of it somehow, maybe I sell it, I don't know. But no. The blacksmith option is to upgrade, and I didn't realize this till very later on in this game. And it should say somewhere on this screen, says upgrade this weapon somewhere, anywhere. So dumb fucks like me know that this is for upgrading and not buying the weapon again. I should have realized it. I just thought I could just buy this weapon again. So we continue on to the next area, and fire spontaneously combusts behind us, like, oh shit. And these samurais with spears, and they're on horseback. They dash through the flames and we gotta take them out. They're annoying since they just don't stand fucking still for too long. So you try to chase them down and they're like, hold still, you shit. But we finally defeat them. We can then move on, finding another merchant and a save point. I still can't figure out how to use that Ninpo ability, and so I was pressing all the buttons here, but I gave up. Knowing I got to cross the bridge, I take the stairs up and we come across a cemetery. And to interact with items or doors, you have to press B, but B is for your throwable. So if you're not standing completely still, he will just use the throwable item rather than interacting with the object. And it's just very frustrating. Number of items I wasted in trying to interact with notes and doors is crazy. I just wish that the interact button was a different button. For instance, A. So instead of wasting items, we just jump instead. Would have been a lot nicer. We make our way to the bridge, and there's another fire blocking our exit, and a flaming samurai shows up and he's on fire. Like, oh shit. Here, I'll put you out. And he's the same as the other horse guys we just fought, just bigger and on fire. The only real difference is a bunch of those magic guys shows up and shoots Hadoukens at you while you're trying to chase the horse. But he's actually not too bad. And I got him on the first try. Like, nice. I'm a fucking prodigy at this game. He drops another technique, the counter attack, which, well, counters attacks. We go through the door and this building's on fire, and you can see the heat from the building on the screen, and I just think it looks like absolute shit. Early fire effects are awful, but this one, it just makes it so hard to see things. Inside the building, I get stuck in this room because I can't see, but we can destroy some walls to the left. We fight more guys inside, and the fire starts shooting at us. We leave the building and a cutscene plays. We see a woman come out from the building we just exited from. Oh, sorry girl, I must have missed you. I couldn't see shit in there. But she seems pretty chill for what's going on until she collapses and it's like, oh, well, I guess you're not that good after all. This turns out to be the Shrine Maiden. And we see the Dark Samurai come out of the building too. Damn, I fucking missed him too. He's got no face and he wields the Dark Dragon Blade. We fight him and I get destroyed instantly. But luckily it was supposed to happen. Ryu is then left for dead, and the samurai gets away with the sword. Next, we see a hawk flying and landing on a tree, overlooking our body. That completes chapter 2. And I got Master Ninja fucking right. Not too bad at all. And this level sets up the story for the rest of the game, about revenge and to get the Dark Dragon Blade. Overall, not too bad. Chapter 3 begins, and we're just putting on a new suit. Like what? What just happened? I thought I missed a cutscene, so I looked it up, and turns out, no, this is how it plays out. We're just back at the fort, good as new. And hey, we got a new suit too. Where did we get this suit from? How are we alive? The game fails to explain what just happened. Looking online, I guess that falcon that we saw brought Ryu back to life somehow. Okay, how did that happen? And why did this falcon do it? Is the falcon a deity? A god? We don't know. Did the falcon give us the suit? Was he just like, hey, you kind of look like shit. Here, put this new suit on. Or did we get it from Mirai? The game doesn't care to explain, so alright, moving on. We find out that Black Samurai name is Doku. Not to be mistaken for Goku, and I'll throw his picture up here. Clear differences. Doku is the lord of the greater fiends of the Vigor Empire, and he came for the sword to use its dark power. Ryu then sets off for vengeance, and in a kind of a plot twist, he stows away on an airship heading for the Vigor Empire. See, I thought this game was set in feudal Japan or something. The first 2 levels, you have all classic samurai villages, you got a fort, only to then hop on a blimp. It's not a con or anything. I just wasn't expecting it to be set in the future. We're now in Ryu's room, and we learn that the Vigor Empire is a strange dictatorship veiled in secrecy, and that it has an exclusionist foreign policies, making it hard to enter the country. And the only way to get there is by airship to the capital of Taiwan, not to be mistaken for Iran. I'll throw that up there. And, you know, for such a dictatorship, letting a samurai in full body armor and a sword boarding a ship to your head capital, that seems pretty chill to me. Like, did the security look at him and was like, you know, you seem a bit suspicious, right? But I'm trying to trust more people. So I'm gonna let you board, but you gotta promise me that you won't kill anyone. Promise? Yeah, I promise. Then hop aboard, sailor. And they even gave him a room, like, sweet. But then another airship comes from above, and it's the military. Oh shit, I guess the security guard had doubts about us. Like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Hey boss, I fucked up again. They start boarding the ship to find the hostile intruder. And there's this giant mech guy, and he just gets catapulted out of the airship onto ours. Like, damn, we're screwed. So starting the level, we get a save, and we start to explore. Entering one of the rooms, the military smashes through the window, and this one guy, like, falls through the door. It made me laugh. I wasn't expecting it. I'm pretty sure he was breaching, but it just looks like he trips. We are now fighting the military guys, and they're pretty much the same as the samurai. But they have, like, shock batons now. They also got pistols that they shoot at you. And the black armor ones has a shield. Once defeated, they drop a wing key that unlocks the door. We now get to the main deck and we continue to the next area and we find a door that's locked. And I kind of find it funny. You go to open it and it says the lamp is red. And I just had to do a double take. I'm like, that's lamp? Okay. We then find a map and an elevator. We go down the elevator to find another elevator. And we go down even further, fighting more guys. We kill them. And I finally figured out how to use my Nimpo ability here. By pressing Y and B at the same time, you can use your special. It's like, oh, I got you. I wish you said it earlier. Defeating the guys, we get an ID card, and we can now unlock doors. There's this door right behind us. I unlock it, and inside is a new weapon. Dragon Claw and Tiger's Fang. Dual wielding swords is badass, right? So I switched to that immediately. Like, how can you not? That's so cool. So I head back up. We find a door on the left. We enter and we find a save station. We then head to the door to the left, and in this room, there's a crank and we can lower the hatch. But guy shows up. Now, one of the enemies has a grenade launcher, but he's not too bad to deal with. Looking out, it seems like I can cross this area. I tried shooting those red lights, but I get interrupted. The shots stun lock me and I run out of arrows. So I just dipped out. I went back to the main deck, and if we go down the other staircase, we find a merchant stand. I buy a bunch of arrows, and I make my way back to the open door. I fire my arrows at those lights, but no luck, doesn't break. I then just tried to jump for it, and well, I fell to my death. Not really a surprise, but I had to try. I then head all the way back to the beginning of the level. At the very back, there's a door that I can lock, but there's like a lot of guys in this room. Like, a suspicious amount of guys, and they just keep entering. I keep fighting and I'm fighting. I fight even more. I run out of everything and I died. Not once, but a few times. I'm like, damn, this is tough actually. But I was finally able to do it, and they drop lives of 1,000 gods. That increases our health. And I'm like, that's it? I thought I would get something to destroy those red lights. But no, I just get that. Also, on top of the boxes, we can find a golden scarab. These are the collectibles in the game, and if you bring it back to the merchant, you will get rewards. From potions to weapons, it's actually really cool. I really like that. But there's nothing else in this room. This was a challenge area, and it's completely optional, and you can find them throughout the game. So I couldn't figure out where to go until I head back to that open hatch, and there on the right side, you can shimmy across. Now, hindsight is 20, but in the moment, I couldn't see it. It's so dark up there, and I was so focused on the red lights. So I just kind of wish that it was a little bit more highlighted or a little bit easier to see. So crossing the gap, we make our way to the engine room and smash a window to get in. And then we do the only logical thing on a flying airship is to smash the engine. What can go wrong? Ever heard of the Hindenburg, Ryu? No? Well, all right then, you do you. An announcement is then heard saying that power is out and they're on backup power. But now all the doors are unlocked as a safety precaution, and we can now enter that red lamp room. We fight our way up and we get to the top of the blimp. There, we fight that big cyber guy that we saw at the beginning of the level. Now, for some reason, he just reminds me of Fat Man from Metal Gear. I don't know why. That's the first thing I thought of. And this boss is a lot tougher than the other ones. He's got mostly heavy attacks. He can do this slam that makes an energy field and it prevents you from getting close to him. And has this annoying projectile attack that shoots 4 missiles back to back. And once you're hit, you're stunned. If you don't dodge just right, you will get hit. If you jump, you'll get hit as well. So it's a bit frustrating, but there's at least a sound cue for when he's about to do it that helps with dodging. But if he grabs you, he'll launch you back and then immediately follows up by shooting, unless you can get back to him quick enough. This fight, you have to stay really close to him, but not close enough where he can grab you. So for this fight, you have to stay pretty close to him. He won't let you get close, so you have to time when it's safe to go in for an attack and when to dodge away. We finally defeat him and he just explodes, and the electricity shocks the blimp so much and it just explodes. Damn, man, I told you, it's never a good idea to take a blimp. And that ends chapter 3. Chapter 4 begins and Ryu falls 40,000 feet and is somehow still alive, but not for long, since he then uses a power line to zip across to get into the city. Well, he immediately gets electrocuted. But turns out I actually Googled this to see if you could do that. And from what I read, yes, you can zip line across the power line. Isn't recommended. Well, no, but it can be done. All right, you win this round. Once across, we get to the city of Tyron and must now make our way to Hans Bar, and we'll be able to see it since it has a neon sign. There is an underground network intelligence agency who can help us find Doku. We start making our way into the city and we find a door, but we need a skull key to open it. So no luck there. We then find a pot with a stick hanging out of it, and we get a new weapon called the Lunar, which is Goku's stick. It's a heavy weapon, so the attacks are slower, but deals more damage than the other swords. I didn't like it, so I just didn't use it. Combat is fun. Performing different combos, like light attack into heavy, you can do a slam. There's plenty of combos to learn, and it's always fun to see what you can pull off. But I usually just stick to what I know, because I can't remember combos worth shit. So that's why I've never really been too good at hack and slash games. But so far, I'm having a good time. We then find a chest with a stone tablet top, a key item. We continue on and we find a save and a door next to it, but it's locked. We need the Lily key for this one. So I make my way to the main gate and we find this rainbow door, but it's locked too. We make our way down the street and find a building. We're just about to enter, but we get ambushed. So instead, I head up the stairs thinking that building is the way we need to go. We go up to the roof. We get ambushed by these spider ninjas. They're a lot tougher than the regular samurai or the military guys. And they have these annoying fucking shurikens that will embed in you. And it will take a few seconds to detonate, but they will constantly throw them at you, and multiple ones can hit you, so they'll explode back to back and you'll just get juggled around, and they come at you fast, so it's hard to attack and deflect the shurikens. We find a chest and that has spirits of the devils. Now this just increases how much Ninpo ability you have, so now I got 2 usage. I make my way into the building. I pass, turns out it's the old merchant, but in the flesh. I buy a map and a health potion, and I head into the other gate. I find a wall that I can't break and a gate I can't open. But in the alley, I can backflip my way up top to get in. And this is where the platforming is kind of awful. All I want to do is jump up there. You jump on the wall to do a backflip, and that will reach the ledge. But then he flies everywhere else. Like, God damn it, jump, you dick. Like, listen, jump. I finally get in, fight the spider clan, and open the chest, and we get a bunch of orbs. Moving to the left side, we can platform up this building and cross the rooftops to find a chest. So I'm just gonna jump over here and fuck! Really? Jumps all the way to the left. I run all the way back. I get back to the chest, but I messed up again. I was looking right at the lever that we need to pull to open the rainbow door. I literally stopped and looked at it and then walked away. I then wandered around forever until I finally came back and I found the lever. I make my way inside the rainbow door and we head down the street, and there's Hans Bar. Entering Hans Bar, we are stopped just before entering by a guy on a motorcycle. He comes out of nowhere. Even the motorcycles are ninjas. Didn't even make a sound. And we get this gem of a dialogue.
You have a ticket for the party? You have a ticket for the party? You have a ticket for the party?
That was honestly great. So let's talk about voice acting. It's either okay or really bad, but nothing great. Here, listen to some.
Blood. It dominates all humankind.
So what exactly are you? You're much more powerful than just a human.
My strength comes from training, not from some curse in my blood.
Are you so sure of that? I was convinced once that my blood was pure, but then I saw what my pure blood was capable of.
Ryu sounds like he doesn't give a fuck about what's going on. He sounds more annoyed and just wants to go home. But besides from a few cutscenes, there really isn't much dialogue in this game. So I feel like I can give it a pass. So what about sound design? I think it's pretty good. The slashing from the sword as it cuts into the enemies sounds like there's force behind it. And when you're blocking, the sword clings with the other sword. Environment sounds pretty good too. For instance, on the airship, we have a thunderstorm raging, and you can hear the rain and the thunder in the background as the music plays, and the enemies are firing their guns and you're slashing with your sword. It sounds great and it all works together. Sound is one of those things you don't really pay attention to unless it's really bad or really good. Most of the time in this game, I didn't notice it too much, besides from the music, which is actually pretty awesome. They got a few bangers in this game, but I find sound is pretty good. Not too bad. Now let's talk about these motorcycle guys. They're just the horse guys, but the only difference is they don't hold fucking still for 1 second. They're just back and forth, like hold still, you fuck. If they touch you, you go flying, and here's me trying to deal with them. When I sleep, I still hear the screeching from their tires. I then just resort to throwing shit at them. I get the bow out, and man, I forgot how trash the first person aspects of some of these games are on the old school consoles. It's just awful. I then use my fireball attack, and that's a one-shot kill. And the last one, I actually wickedly sniped off the bike. Sweet. After defeating them, they drop the Lily key for that one door earlier. We then get a cutscene, and people are running out of the bar, and we get that SpongeBob scream. If anyone knows the name of this scream, please let me know. We then cut to a scene of this like raptor guy in this bar causing all this panic, but then we see Big Booba Lady with an axe, and she slays the beast. We learn her name is Rachel, and she slays fiends, which are those monsters that we just saw. Rachel, she says that fiends are pretty rare and that fiends used to be human. She says anyone who has susceptibility to the curse can become a fiend. Ryu then asks about Goku, and man, I forgot them jiggle physics back in the early days. You don't see it too much anymore. It's probably for good reason. She then hears something and then jumps off the building. Turns out she's got a grappling hook and she flies into the night. But then behind us is this mystery guy, but he was the one who was on the blimp. This guy has a French accent telling us, "We're good with the ladies." I'm sorry. We're good with the ladies, and he jumps off the building too, but he then vanishes. How mysterious. Moving on to chapter 5, in another twist, we get to play as Rachel. Earlier I said in Sigma edition of the game, there are some extra levels. Well, for those levels, we get to play as Rachel. So let's talk about Rachel. She's, well, interesting for a monster hunter, and her outfit is, well, she's got more clothes on her legs than her entire upper body. And her spike shoulder piece, it's glittered. So far, it's not the best look in 2022, that's for sure. But either than her outfit, she's pretty strong. Her weapon is a giant axe, which is slow, but it deals a lot of damage, taking out enemies in a few hits. I actually really like her weapon, but that's the only weapon she can use, which is a bit disappointing, and you can't get it as playing as Ryu, I'm pretty sure. Continuing on, we head down through the street and up to the train tracks, and we fight more military guys, and they drop a Diwerku monastery key, and we find a shop. Upon entering it, I notice how the prices are like significantly lower than playing as Ryu. And, you know, I'm like, that's kind of a bit weird until you remember who you're playing as. And I'm pretty sure I know the reason why. This old man's a creep and dressing me with your eyes. We head into the monastery plaza and we get ambushed by these fiend monsters. They're not too tough. They're pretty much the same as the military guys, but without the pistol. And they have basic attacks that they can turn into a shadow to avoid attacks, but that's it. So far, I'm a little bit let down with the enemy design. They're kind of boring. You know? The samurais were all right, but then we go to fighting generic army guys and generic monsters. I don't even know what these fiends look like. They're just brown shit. Hopefully enemies pick up later on in the game, but so far I'm disappointed. We enter the altar hall, we fight some more guys, we enter the room on the right, we enter the archives, and we get ambushed by these spider ninjas, and it fucking scared the shit out of me. Like, ninjas are scary. We head up the stairs, and I thought this was a door, and I had to pick one, so I was looking pretty close to trying to figure out which sexy alien monster I liked more. So I'm trying to decide, and I'm actually having a hard time. I can't choose. But then I finally chose the alien one because I like her blue color and she does have a whip. And I'm a freak like that. But turns out it's just wall painting. And I'm a bit embarrassed actually. We get a cutscene saying long ago, chaos ruled all. All the ancient tribes' bloodlines were mixed together and then passed on to the fiends. And made these twin sisters, Nietzsche, Fiend of the Destruction, and Ishtarosh, Fiend of Creation. They made a new bloodline and created a new race of fiends. And it says if someone becomes a fiend, that they can only find freedom in death. It's like, well, damn, that sucks, bro. But oh well. Chapter 6 begins and we're back to playing as Ryu. We're still on the rooftop, so we make our way down and the fucking bikers spawn back. God damn it. I gave up and just used my fireball. I couldn't hit them to save my life, and I'm not going to waste my time. We then get a note about a legendary weapon in this alley. So I spent some time trying to figure out how to get up there, and I figured out we could wall run to get this windmill shuriken. And off to the corner is like this Easter egg of the Team Ninja logo. By interacting with it, it will replenish all your health and Nimpo abilities. Pretty sweet. I equipped the windmill shuriken and it's just a boomerang, but the range ain't too far as the shurikens or the bow, but it's really strong. So I mostly use this for the rest of the game. Heading back, I enter the shop to get a few things, but listen to the song. It's great. The music is really good in this game. It was composed by Ryu Hayabusa, and he's best known for his work on Dead or Alive, as well as he worked on Resident Evil 3, the remake version, not the original one. And I found you didn't really notice the music too much in this game, as it was more of background music when it's there. Reading an interview about that, I guess it was intentional since people would spend a lot of time looking around. They didn't want the soundtrack to become repetitive or boring. I think it worked out great. That's not to say that there aren't some bangers in this game. I actually really like the main theme for this game. Kicks ass. So we make our way to the Lily door and we run to get to the upper area. Going in the tunnel, we find a gate with a Pegasus symbol, but that's locked. Going up the stairs, I hear the worst noise. Those tires screeching, listen to it. It's awful. We go through the door and we find the Pegasus key. So now we can open the gate. Behind it is a lever. And when we use it, the drawbridge comes down and we cross the bridge. We can also lift the drawbridge just because we can. And we enter the area that Rachel was at. Going left, we reach the monastery plaza. But there's nothing here, so we head left. And oh no, it's more motorbikes, but this time they have a sidecar and a minigun. And so they ride in like Indiana Jones. And these guys are tougher than the regular bikes. And now they have two people. But we defeat them and we get a cutscene. And this dino pops out of nowhere and bites the dude's head Jurassic Park style. But the first thing I thought of looking at it is it looks like the Digimon called Goemon. And I think it looks pretty accurate. These guys are not too bad. They got a grab attack. They breathe fire in the air, as well as some slashes. They roll around like an armadillo. Rachel's just chilling on top, like, damn, thanks for your help. She says he's powerful and he must not be human. Rio's like, well, you know, I trained pretty hard, you know, which really, you're killing Digimon with a sword? No way you're human. Rachel too calls bullshit on that, saying it's something else. And she used to think she was like that, but found out what her pure blood was capable of. She also says she saw her sister get turned into a greater fiend. Turns out Doku led her down to the dark side, and she succumbed to the curse. And that's why she's out and about trying to hunt down her sister, to kill her, to set her free. Rachel was about to talk, but then something whacks her from behind, knocking her off before being grabbed by a tentacle. And oh no, this got real adult real quick. Guess her pure blood didn't give her better hearing. Like, how deaf is this girl? You don't hear a 12-foot monster coming from behind you? Like, what is this, amateur hour? We now gotta fight this hentai monster, and to do that, we gotta chop off its arms before we can damage him because his body is invincible somehow with his arms. Okay, he only has 2 attacks. He has like a sweep attack. He then just spins his hand around. He also shoots these slime balls, but they shoot so far away I never got hit by one. So we defeat Mr. Hentai, and Rachel gets shit out, just like Taco Bell, and goes flying. But luckily, Ryu catches her, and she's covered in shit now. Nasty. Ryu asks if that was a fiend, but Rachel's never seen one like that before, and there seems to be more fiends out than usual. Then a shuriken gets thrown right at us. Assassin's Creed dives right in front of them. You know, if you're coming down here, you don't need to throw the shuriken at me. And she tells us because of the black dragon sword, it's cursed. And those who are wielding it is causing all of this. And that blood, it dominates all mankind and is assisted by the fiends. Like, what does that mean? Ryo then asks Anane to take care of Rachel. But before we go, Rachel tells us there's an underground tunnel in the monastery, and that will lead us to the Emperor's Palace, and that's where Doku is. It then cuts to the French guy in the trench coat. Turns out his name is Gamov. He's with this mystery man, and what is that outfit? He asks if the dark sword grows in power, and Gamov is like, well, yeah, it is. And he's like, we made it just in time. Chapter 7 begins, and we're just right outside the monastery. We head up the stairs, and we face a new enemy type, these drones. They only have like this sweeping laser attack, and that's it. They just kind of fly around, and they die in one hit, so they're not hard. We cross the bridge, and we now enter the monastery grounds. We head inside the church, and we got another new enemy type, these glider Pokemon type things. They fly around and they have a scythe. They also got these magic circles that will trap you if you get caught in it, and they use their tail to whip you. We then head up to the archive, and in this room we can read some books and we learn more about the fiends, which is our like first lore in this game. So in the book called History of Vigor 1, we learned that fiends are all mutations of humans. They exist without a soul due to their corruption by evil. In the book History of Vigor 2 says even with that, they have incredible power and that it's incomparable to that of humans, saying some of the highest level fiends live in a state they say is like transcending out of physical boundaries of form. And some of the most powerful members of the Vigorian ruling class were these powerful fiends, and some even consider them to be gods. Chapter 3 tells us that sometimes fiends can come from dead bodies, and that there were a group of monks for years trying to recreate that, but with no success. Chapter 4 says it was a common occurrence to see fiends, but now they are extremely rare and most people don't know they exist. And the last book is called The Emperor, Lord of All Creation, which states that the Vigor Emperor is the figurehead of all the commoners and that the holy leader controls all physical and ethereal, which just means beauty, and he has that over time and place. And at this point, Vigor's empire just sounds like North Korea. We come over and we find these incendiary shurikens like the one the Spider Clan uses, and we can use these to break down walls. We also pick up the stone tablet piece right. So now all we need is to find the left one. We head even more up and we blow a hole in the wall, revealing a secret door that leads to the top of the church. And there's a bunch of chests up here, and a great instance of why B should not be used for interacting with things. See what I mean? And then I try to jump back, only for Ryu to go completely off the ceiling, but at least there's no fall damage, thank God. We head into the door on the left to find a room with a safe and an elevator, but we can't use the elevator just yet. So we turn to the safe, which is easy to solve. On the table is a book, and it's open to the page with the combo. How convenient. But I am very forgetful, so this took me 6 tries to get it open. We finally get it open, and inside is a book called the Book of Eons. It's a key item. We can now head to the ground floor and place the book on the pedestal, and that reveals a secret door leading to an underground tunnel. And we get a new enemy type, which is just a will-o-wisp. They're easy to fight, but they make this creepy moan sound. pretty spooky to me. We enter the gate and there's just this giant boulder here. Like, geez, I wonder what's gonna happen. So we move on and we find a wall that we need to explode. Once we do that, a mysterious boulder comes out of nowhere and is rolling towards us. So we gotta do a dash to the exit. Me, always cool under pressure, hit every single spike trap on the way down. Wow. But I still made it. Good job, me. We jump to the pole and we make it out just in time before the boulder crushes us. We make it to the other side and we enter E Contra Babel Specus. Specus, which is Latin, and E Contra means against, and Specus means cave. Well, Babel is not Latin itself, but a reference to the Bible, which is the Tower of Babylon. Babylon being the Greek word for it, but in Hebrew means Babel, which was a spiraling tower that they were building to reach the heavens. The story goes they were trying to build this giant tower, and at the very top of the tower, it was going to be able to reach heaven. God, being kind of pissed about that, changed everyone's language so no one could understand each other, thus stopping the tower from ever being built. And that's the Bible's explanation on why there's so many different languages in our world. But in this game, it's just a spiral path down. But this game references the Bibles in a lot of ways. They talk a lot about blood and bloodlines in this game. And Rachel even says how she has pure blood. That blood relates back to the fiends, and that gives her incredible powers. Jesus also had a pure bloodline, which was connected to God, and that gave him divine powers as well. Then there's the Vigor Church trying to use the fiend's blood to transcend, as we saw in the books in the archives. They even tried recreating an event where a dead body came back to life as a fiend. It's almost similar to when they drink the blood of Christ at communion to give them redemption. Those are the connections that I've made so far. There's really not too much lore in this game besides from a few references here and there. We make our way down and there's this skeleton dragon here, and I walk by it and I gave it a few hits just in case, since I have played Dark Souls and I'm not falling for that one again. Feeling safe, I jump over to completely miss and fall down this tunnel, but luckily I land on a ledge and I go through the next gate. We get another new enemy type, these mosquitoes. There's a lot of them and they sting you and buzz around. They're easy to kill, dying in 2 hits. We make our way even more down and we head into the Tomb of Eons. Drop down again and we find an elevator that takes us even more down, but it spawns fiends, so we have to fight them off. We enter another door and we find a new weapon, the Vigorian Flail. And it's actually my favorite weapon in this game. They're smaller than the swords, but they attack much faster and will stun enemies like really quick, and you can combo a lot. I use them basically until I find another weapon, but that's not till later on in the game. So we enter the ritual room and we find a chalice, but it's guarded by mosquitoes. We slay them and a cutscene plays, and a centipede falls on Ryu and he flinches. Like, you're not scared of monsters, but bugs, that does it for him. I guess that's pretty relatable. But it crawls into the skeleton and reanimates them, like in the book in the archive room. Damn, we got zombies now to fight. Is it just me, or don't these guys look like Titans? Anyways, these zombies are very slow to attack, winding up like they're playing baseball. They do have an annoying grab, and some of them even have bows. So we pick up the chalice, which is a reference to the Holy Grail, but instead of Jesus' bloods, they have like their own fiend blood in it. We then escape the tomb and we take the elevator back up. And of course, zombies fall on the lift, so we have to fight them. We make our way to the very top. We make our way up, but now there's these Ando Londo snipers here, and I would even say they're worse than them. Like, you try to block, and the one will break your stance, and the other will send you flying. Just let me pass. Damn it! Fuck you, snipers. I hate you. You fucking muppets. I'm then able to pass them, and we head towards the podium. So here's a great example of the climbing mechanics. I hate these old platformers. Like, get up there! You fuck! Jump! Eat shit, Ryu. You ninja donkey. See? Thank you. Was that so hard, Ryu? And fuck! We finally reached the top of this level, and this level annoyed me to no end. It took me a lot longer than what it should have to reach the top. So we place the chalice on the stand, and as we do, that dragon comes back to life. See, I fucking called it. Here, so he has a few different attacks. He's got a stomp and a slash. He's got a tail sweep, and he throws boulders at you from his back somehow, and he will also try to bite you. So we just have to wail on his arms. Bone marrow like falls off, and it's like, ugh. But we have to do that for each of his legs. We defeat the boss, and he falls apart. So he falls all the way down, breaking the ground and making a giant crack in the wall, and we can see water coming through it. Chapter 8 is another Rachel level. We start right outside the monastery, and we make our way back into town. We lower the drawbridge and cross the river, and we make our way back to the city center. While doing that, let's talk about level design. I think the levels are okay. Most levels I find to be bland and boring, and there's not too much variety in them. It's mostly a door is locked, we find a key, we fight a boss, and we do that to the end of the game, which is nothing wrong, but they're just so boring. And it's mostly you just got to go back and forth until you find the right key objects to unlock the door. But there are a lot of secrets scattered around the map, which makes it more fun to go explore and try to collect all these different chests and to find all the Scarab so you can get unique items. And I do like how pretty much the city center is like a main hub, almost like a Metrovania or Dark Souls game. You have these different areas, but they always lead back to the city center. It's also fun to find secret challenge areas where if you complete them, you get a reward. And it usually takes you a few tries to complete them. So I always like that kind of extra challenge. Graphics wise, there's one scene in this entire game, and that's that monastery boss fight we haven't got to yet. But if you look at it, the floor is colorful and it's reflective. The sun going through the stained glass windows lightens the entire area, and everything looks so vibrant. Even the boss is bright pink. It just looks amazing to me. But then the rest of the game, you get brown shit tunnels and gray buildings. It's like they had a budget for one area and they put it all towards that monastery boss fight. I feel like they didn't even try for the rest of the game. Like, I found one floor to be reflective in this entire game. There's water. Why not add reflections to that or to any other level? And they all just look so bland and boring and generic. That's not to say when this game first got released, it's a different story. In 2004, they raved about the graphics and how good they were for its time. And the remake came out in 2009, 12 years ago. But that same year, we got Modern Warfare 2, Uncharted, and Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, it's been a long time since I played those games, but I feel like those games look 10 times more better than this remake. Every level looked like that monastery boss fight, because that would have impressed me a lot more. But I can forgive level design and graphics because they always come second to the actual gameplay, which shines through. Combat for this game is so much fun. You know, defeating enemies and learning combos for you to then use it on the final boss for each level, putting your knowledge and what you learned so far to the challenging boss. And it always feels great when you're finally able to beat a boss, even if you spend like an hour trying to beat them. You know, it's really good. And I find the combat feels fair too. Like, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. I find the game to be very balanced. Anyways, we enter the gate and we see something in the sky. We start to follow it and we go through the last gate. We get to the square. We fight some more spider ninjas, and once defeated, Gamov shows up saying how good I look. Aw, thanks Gamov, you the man. But Rachel just charges at him and takes a swing. She's not putting up with any of his shit. And he says, man, you got a temper. Your younger sister is so much funner than you, and she's really nice. And that Doku is very pleased with her, and it's time for another boss battle. Gamov, he's a little bit annoying. He's got dualies and mostly has one combo. He'll try to break your stance and then juggle you in the air, but being too far away from him, he'll just shoot you. But that's pretty much his entire routine. He's pretty easy to take on, and once we see Alma in the sky, and Rachel just dips out. Doesn't even finish Gamov. Like, hey, we should deal with him first. No, but whatever. Chapter 9 begins, and we're back to playing as Ryu. When the dinosaur fell, it broke the ground and revealed a new path. So we can now go down even deeper. We get a life of 1,000 gods as a reward for beating the dragon. And we start to make our way down. And I have no idea why I did this. I just don't know what came over me. I thought I could wall run to the other side of this tunnel, but there's no platform there, so I don't know what I was looking at. I die immediately, and there's no auto saves, so I'm all the way back to chapter 8, and I gotta make it through the entire level again. So let's just speed things up. There, nice. We're back to where we started. This time I'm going to be more smart about it and not jump off. We make our way down. I don't know why I keep doing this. I fall all the way down again, but luckily I survived this time. We head through the door and now we get to these Egyptian catacombs. And I should mention this game takes place in the Dead or Alive world, which I always do like when games are connected to other games. Anyways, we are about to cross this bridge, but it looks awfully suspicious. And yeah, our zombie friends destroy the bridge and traps us at the bottom. Luckily, there's a way out. But to unlock the main door, there's 2 locks that have a blue snake and a red snake, and 2 rooms which correspond with each color. We go through the red door first, and the challenge is we just gotta cross the water. And we cross the water and we push the button. That was really easy. But in this room, the game teaches us we can dive underwater. By holding A, we can dive down and collect some goodies. The controls are fine underwater. He just moves a lot slower, and you have an air meter, so you can only stay underwater for so long before you have to come back to the surface. We then make our way to the blue door with some zombie snipers at the end of the room. Here I kind of got confused on what to do, but then I quickly realized that we have to use our bow to hit that, I don't know, sun thing, whatever you call it, to reveal a secret path, and that leads to the other side of the room. We can also shoot the giant maces to slow them down, giving us more time to pass, but this took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to complete. It's not hard, I'm just really impatient and kept fucking up. We press the blue button that unlocks the main door, and we head through it, and it's our good old friend Mr. Hentai. Hi, Mr. Hentai. We defeat him again, and a secret pathway gets revealed, and we can now get to the other side of the bridge. But Mr. Hentai took all my health potions, and this is where things get really hard and annoying. So I run past all the zombies. Since I got no health, we make it to the other room, and here we have to try to pick up the item from the main platform. But anytime we try to get it, the platform will raise. So we have to hit this button, and next to the main platform is another platform. So we can wall run to the other side and then just walk across to get the items. So we pick up a wolf deity statue, and this will be a key item later on. We also get that skull key, so we can now unlock the exit. We run into the tunnel, but remember when the dragon fell and cracked the wall? Well, it now bursts and water floods in and spits us out in another room. We find a merchant, and pay attention, I can only afford 2 small health potions. That's it. There's a room to the right where if you swim underwater, we can find a save station and an elevator, but we can't go up it yet, so we gotta find another way. Back to the last room, we find an elevator underwater. And would an elevator work underwater? I don't know. Anyways, we go up to the next room, which is the elevator that leads to the top of the monastery, where we found that Book of Eons, and in the room where that safe was, if you remember. So it loops back. So we fight some guys in here, and pay attention to my health bar. That's all the health I have besides from 2 small health potions. So we exit and we drop to the ground. A cutscene plays and Alma bursts through the window, and my god, she's right out of a hentai I just watched. I mean, look at that hair. It's so wacky. But now we have to fight here, and I have barely any health. I get absolutely stomped here. And you know, guess where I start? I start back in the underwater part. So every time I die, I have to swim all the way back, take the lift, fight the enemies, and then fight the boss. So I'm gonna rant for a second. Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? This is by far the worst part of the game so far. It's just so frustrating. It sucks. But the bigger issue I have with this game is not that there's bosses back to back, but it's I never have enough money to ever buy anything. The entire last area, I got 1400 essence from the enemies. That's enough for 2 small health potions. The bosses hardly drop any money at all, and I haven't really been able to buy anything but small health potions for this entire game. It's just annoying because I'm just playing on normal too. It's not like hard or master ninja, and I'm not too bad at this game either. I'm not good enough to never get hit or anything, so I'm always taking some damage, and it's mostly from those annoying fucking grapple attacks. So I'm always needing potions. If the enemies just dropped more money, everything would be fine. Or if there's at least more health potions lying around, it wouldn't be an issue. And I'm not asking for 30 health potions. I just need a few more, even 2 more, and I would have been fine. And I can't even grind enemies because of the grapple attack. So I usually end up using more health potions than I'm able to farm money for. So that's out of the question. And I can't load another save file because I've just been using the one save, and that's my fault. Always have a few different save files just in case you need to go back. So our only option is to just get good, and that's what I did. So back to Elma, she has a few different claw attacks. She also got like these pink fireballs, and she will throw the columns at you. She's got a dive attack and of course a grapple, as well as this pink magic trap, and it will try to catch you. This fight, you can't be close to her at all. The trick with this boss fight though is staying as far away from her as possible until she flies up in the air. You can then do a jump slash towards her, and that knocks her out of the air. She then gets stunned, and then you can hit her a few times and just rinse and repeat. And really, she's not that hard. It's just I have no health potions. So Elma, I got one question for you.
Do you have a ticket for the party?
And after about an hour, I was finally able to do it. And man, does it ever feel good when you are stuck on a boss and you're finally able to beat him? It's a great feeling. We then get a cutscene of her head just glowing bright pink, and a beam of light shoots out, destroying the entire building, and the top of her head falls right off. Rachel then swings in and gives her a kick. Oh gee, thanks for the help, Rachel. Where the fuck were you during this fight? Would have been nice for some help. Anyways, she's about to finish her off, but looking into her eyes, she can't bring herself to kill her sister. Pathetic. I mean, I'll do it. She has caused me enough headaches. I'll put her down myself, Rachel, don't you worry. But then all of a sudden an alarm goes off. Army is here. Since we've been causing so much shit, the Hellgas show up, and they're the Internal Affairs National Security Force, and they're armed to the teeth. And the city goes into lockdown. They got tanks and they got helicopters. We're fucked now. And we go back to Ryu and Rachel. And wait, where did Elma go? Did she die? What happened? Don't know. We learned that even though most fiends don't have a soul, greater fiends do, even after becoming a fiend. And that there's only 3 to have their souls: Doku, Elma, and another one who guards the Emperor. Ryu straight up says, "You shouldn't be around me. It's too dangerous." And just leaves her. Like, okay, Ryu. Rachel's still at the church, then turns around and Doku's right there, and he sounds exactly like Darth Vader.
The cursed blood of a twin sister that shall serve to awaken Alma.
Sith Doku says he was gonna kill her. He's going to use Rachel to make Alma stronger. He's gonna use her cursed blood to awake Alma. Rachel takes a swing at Doku and it does nothing, and she promptly gets a backhand, knocking her right out. We then cut back to Ryu and we start right outside the church, and we get a note saying that we have to go to the military base to take out their tower to disrupt the military. But before that, I stop at the shop and let's see how much money I have. 1,200. Great. So after I bought those 2 health potions at the last shop, I had 400 essence left. And after defeating Elma, I have 1,200. So I only got 800 from that fight. Like, are you shitting me? That's enough for 1 potion. And guess how much great elixirs are? 5,000. That doesn't even make any sense, and it really pissed me off. Anyways, we started leaving the area and we got to fight the military guys now. They're pretty much just an upgraded version of the normal military, but now they have automatics and will just constantly shoot at you. They also have a grenade launcher, and some will even carry rocket launchers. And you should see how fast they reload. It's crazy. We cross the drawbridge and we make our way into the base. And my god, they got machine guns. And they light me up, but I beat everyone. And once again, I got no health. A helicopter comes and, oh great, it's the fat man again. So I die and I decide to look around first to see what else I can find. I make my way over to the shop area and there are 3 guys here. I then go past the gate and there's also another 3 guys. So here I decided to try and grind for a bit to see if I can make some money. And I do actually. But the only issue is that they shoot you constantly. And when you're fighting one of the guys, the other ones will be constantly shooting at you. And you can't really block and attack at the same time. So you always end up needing to use health kits. Unless you get lucky and they drop some orbs. But I'm able to get more health potions. So I'm now ready to take on the boss again. But first, I enter the room to the left and I find a Scarab. I then see one on the other side of this building, but I accidentally drop down. So I try to get back up and the platforming is just awful. He just doesn't do what you want him to do. Like, fucking jump, you dick. Fuck, ass. But I finally made it up again. And going back to the shop, I have now brought enough Scarabs that he gives me a weapon called the Dabbly Arrow. This cloud-looking greatsword, and I love this weapon, same as with Rachel's axe, is slow, but man is it strong. It only takes a few hits to kill enemies, and it looks pretty badass. So I fight all the guys again, and it makes this fight a lot easier. The one cool thing I found in this game is you can actually shoot the rockets out of the air with the bow, and that's badass. You don't see that too much anymore. Defeating all the enemies, it's now time to fight the fat man again. He has the same attacks as before, but the only difference is that this time there's a helicopter will come and drop some bombs around the map. And man, I love the damage this sword does. And I actually make quick work of him. We get the strongbow and it's not a weapon, but a key. And what we had to do was go back to where the shop was and go all the way to the top to place the bow in like the slot. But I enter the gate and that ends the level. And once the next level starts, the gate pops up again and I can't go back. So I'm like, damn, I wonder what it was, but oh well. But this completes chapter 10. Chapter 11 begins and we start off running into this long tunnel, and on the other side we reach the military base. They have machine guns set up as well as guys coming out of the LAV. Next to the building we can find a crate, and this contains a new arrow type, an explosive arrow. They're super strong, taking out the machine guns in only a few hits. Once we're able to take out the machine guns, we get a key and that unlocks the building, and we head inside. We find a few items, thank god, and we go up the stairs and those flying robots pop out again, and there's a lot of them. We find another arrow crate and we find another new type of arrow called the APF-SDS cores, which are pretty much just a stronger version of the regular arrow. So we climb up the stairs and we turn on the power, and we can now see a platform moving. We can now make our way across, and my god, jump, holy shit. We finally make it to the other side. And up top, we climb the stairs and we find an ID card and a map to the base. We can now use the military ID card to unlock the door, and we enter the next area. The door is locked and it's now a gauntlet. So we have to defeat all these military guys. Once each wave is defeated, we can now enter the next door, and oh no, it's a boss battle, a fucking tank. But this tank is really easy. It can shoot its main cannon, and the guy on top will shoot the machine gun, and the tank can run you over. But we use the explosive arrows to defeat the tank. And once you shoot the arrows, the guy on the machine gun will duck down. So really, you don't take any damage at all. We defeat the tank really easily, and oh no, it's another tank. And I have no health potions, so I die. Fuck! Where do I start? Oh my god. And I'm back at the beginning. So I go through the entire area again, and are you shitting me? There was a save right here and I just completely missed it. So we take out the tanks and we head up the elevator. We fight some more dudes, and then a helicopter shows up and it's another boss fight. The helicopter will just shoot at you and launch missiles, fly around you. So we got to use the bow to take it out. Like, hold still. Like, come on, fuck. Really, this boss ain't too bad. He just flies around all the time. So we take out the chopper and we move on and we get to the tower and we got to use the bow again. Man, this entire level was a bow level. I feel like Rambo. So on top of the tower, the military guys spawn and they're the rocket launcher guys and they just keep spawning. So what we got to do is take out all the lights and the tower explodes. Mission accomplished. We now have to make our way back and we gotta steal a train. So we make our way back to the train. We turn the train tracks in a different direction. Ryu then jumps on the train and we start choo out of here and we're picking up speed. We're going quick. We get on top of the roof and we see another train coming. Oh shit, we're gonna crash. And we slam into this other train and there's this giant explosion killing probably thousands of people. But does Ryu have any fucks to give? No, he does not. Chapter 12 begins and we start at the train tracks near the church. We then find a new fiend, which is basically the normal one, but upgraded. And he's got a different attack combo and a different hairstyle. But other than that, that's it. We then head into the sewers. And we start heading downwards. I find this lift that leads even more down and I find the chest. And well, it's a trap. We start fighting these bugs. They mostly just have a grapple and they jump towards you. But I got no health. They jump on me and I die. Damn, man. Going back, I find a save station, thank God. Heading inside this tunnel, we need a statue to unlock the door. So I go back and I fight the bugs again, this time winning, but no key item in that chest. So heading back up and through the other door, down the tunnel, we climb up and find a red pedestal, but we're missing a piece, so no luck here. Heading all the way back down to the save area, we enter the big door with a giant statue that's holding 2 cups, and there's a bunch of running water. We then find a chest that has a key of the insects. So here I kind of get lost, but we gotta make our way back up to where we started. And we find the insect door. Heading inside, we fight more fiends, and at the very back of the tunnel is a door. We enter to find another pedestal, but again, we're missing that piece. Leaving that room, we see a big door at the end of the hall. We head through the door, we enter it, and it's time for another boss battle, this worm. Now, the worm has 3 attacks. If you're in the center of this room, all he will do is try to grab you. He also has a sweep attack, and it's like an electric worm, so he's got like these electric balls and he will shoot them at you. He will also electrify the water, so you can't get close to him, so you have to stay on the platform. If you try to use your special in this boss fight, he will just retreat back into his hole, and you can't hit him. And this guy I thought was pretty tough at first, until you find the sweet spot of where you stand. If you just stand slightly off the center to the side, he will only do his sweeping attack. Then we can just jump and do a heavy attack down. When he tries to electrify the water, you can get a few more hits in and it's easy peasy. Going into the tunnel, we end up at the top of the big room with the statue. We find the red slab. So we put the red slab in the pedestal, drains a water from the room and fills the cups. So the statue's cups are now halfway down. We just need to find the blue slab. And with that, room releases all the water so we can now enter it. We head all the way back to the beginning of the level so we can now enter it. Inside, we find the statue. We bring the statue to the door to unlock it and enter a cave. Now we get to fight the worm again, not 1, but 2 now. Yay. And it's the same fight as before, just with 2 worms. There's another sweet spot here that you can use. This is where I use the fire wheel Nimple. Since all other special attacks will make the worms retreat, the fire wheel will not. And you can get a decent amount of damage in once they get close to you. And really, once you take care of one, the other one is really easy. Heading into the cave, we head up to find a bunch of mosquitoes, and we find a chest containing the blue slab. So we go back to the room and go left. We can find a wall that we blow up and it leads back to the main room. We place the blue slab on the pedestal and this releases the rest of the water. Heading back to the statue, the door is now unlocked and we can get to Perry style passage, and there are a bunch of guys here. And at the back of the room, there's a statue and a button. But what we have to do is climb to the very top of this room and fall onto the button to unlock the door. But I found out that this is a challenge area and there's a lot of guys here. But if you leave and come back before finishing the challenge, it will reset all the enemies. And this place is great for farming. They actually drop a good amount of money. So I spent about a half an hour here grinding these guys. I head back to the shop and I have 9,000. So here I decided to see what else I could buy since I now have money. I wanted to see what would happen if I bought that flail. And this is when I found out more than 10 hours into the game that the blacksmith is to upgrade your weapons, not to buy them again. I'm on chapter 12 and I haven't upgraded anything this entire game. I felt like a complete dick. I'm not gonna lie. I was able to upgrade my weapons. I didn't know I could do that. And the flail upgrade is amazing because it has this one combo and it just goes on forever. It stuns the enemies, and if someone comes from behind you, they'll get caught in it too. It's amazing. So I farmed, and then I upgraded the Dabby Arrow to the max, and man, this sword kicks ass. For these fiends, it's a 3-hit kill and it has a really good combo. I was living my best life now. Having upgrades and being able to have some money is amazing. The rest of the enemies in this game should drop money as good as these guys, because I find this game, it's not as hard as people make it out to be. As long as you have a few health potions and some money to buy them, you're set for the rest of the game. It's mostly just trying to conquer each area. Anyways, I accidentally kill all the guys here, so the grinding comes to an end and we move on. Going through, we get to the underground sanctuary, and on the floor is a cutout of a sword, and we gotta find it. So we head up and shoot the button, and this lowers a wall, so we can now wall run across. We get to the very top of this room and we swing across to the other side, picking up the sword. We can then drop down and place the sword into the floor. A portal opens and this zombie dragon appears. His main attack is this laser beam. Like, okay, that was a little bit unexpected. A laser beam. He does have other attacks like his stomp. He will bite you, and sometimes he'll fly up onto this platform and use his wings to blow you around. He's not bad because we implement Dark Souls tactics here, and by that just mean you just run up behind him and wail on him, and with the Dabby Arrow, a few hits with that and he'll get stunned, lowering his head so you can get in some more damage. Rinse and repeat, and boom, he's done. We head into the big room and we see that mysterious guy chilling on the rooftop. So we move on to chapter 13, and this is the worst level in this game by far. Not because it's hard or anything, but just because it's a water level and you're swimming for pretty much the entire time. I hate water levels in general, but this is a hack and slash game. The whole point of this game is to be doing sick combos and fighting bosses, and this level takes all that away and you're just swimming for most of it. It's boring as hell and not what I want in a hack and slash game. Anyways, I didn't spend too much time on this level. I didn't explore. I didn't do anything. I just wanted it to be over. We swim underwater and there's some fish, but they like hardly ever attack you. They just swim around. And some dick set up these spike traps in this water tunnel. Like, it seems like such a waste of money. Why not put a gate there? 10 times cheaper. Who thought putting spike there was a good idea? Anyway, we swim more and we find a spear gun. The spear gun sucks sticks and I don't even use it. I guess the one thing is you can shoot it underwater, kind of neat. And then you get these mermaid dudes and they'll shoot water at you, and if you're underwater, we'll dive at you. But that's it. I just ignored everyone and kept swimming. We then find a door, but it's locked, so we have to make our way to this sunken pirate ship. Like, what's that doing here? But at the bottom of the ship, we find scuba gear, so we can now swim underwater and not have to come up for air. But also on top of the ship is a crank. We use the crank and this opens a door inside the pirate ship. We then swim back under and we find the key to the door. The next area, we get locked in. Defeating the guys, the gates come down and we gotta swim down again into this water cave. And then we end up where that dragon boss fell, and we swim through another cave and we end up back to the underground area where we fought the zombies before. We keep going and we end up back in the tunnel with the elevator where we went up to fight Elma. There's more fish here though, but we head to the save point instead. We can now use the lift and we head up and we reach the top. There, Sith Doku is carrying Rachel, and Doku sees us and just drops Rachel. And it's time to fight Doku to get our revenge. Doku has a few attacks. He's got a slash dash. He has this wombo combo. He breathes fire and has an area of effect attack where he like spews fire all around. He's of course got a grapple, but if he gets you, he'll start draining your health and replenish his own. Reminds me of that shitty fight in Elden Ring. What's her name again?
I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
Oh, right, her. But I really like his design. So far, probably my favorite boss in this game. Doku is pretty tough actually, and it took me a few tries to beat him. I would say he's the toughest boss in this game so far, besides from Elma, but that's just because I had a handicap. Once you get his pattern down, we get our revenge on Doku. Ryu sees he doesn't have the Dark Dragon Blade, and Ryu asks where it is. Doku says it's in the hands of the Holy Vigor Emperor, Ryu's true master, saying that they're no different because people with the dragon lineage draws their powers from the same deities that the fiends do, and that Ryu's true place is at the Emperor's side. Doku says he's still gonna bring the awakening, but then he dies. And then Rachel just dips out, like, okay, I just saved you, where's my things? Chapter 14 begins, and it's our last level we get to play as Rachel. We see a ghost figure walking by and we have to follow it. We then find a teleporter, and upon entering, this leads back to Ryu's village at the very beginning of the game. Here we can find a challenge area. We fight hard and bleed and sweat, and it took me a few tries and I finally did it. What does all that hard work pay off to? Like, what do we get? Do we get like maybe a cool new weapon? Do we get a new Nimpo ability? No, we get a hairstyle. We can just change our look for Rachel, and that's it. I then head to the shop, and somehow I have a shit ton of money. I have hardly been playing as Rachel, but I have all this money. Why don't I ever have this much as playing as Ryu? Like, what the hell? So let's see. Can I buy new weapons as Rachel? No. Can you upgrade Rachel's weapon? No. You can buy different earrings for her. Mind you, they do have different stats, increased attack power or defense, but I just wonder why earrings, you know? How about her spiked shoulder instead? You can get new ones of that. Why earrings? Just hair and earrings is all you get. Oof. So we head back into the village, and I got a bit confused on where to go. So I stop here and I look it up. It says here I gotta find a ladder, but I haven't seen a ladder. Oh, it's right there. So we continue and we place a stone tablet, and that opens another teleporter. We now have to fight some fiends to open the next teleporter, and I have found my favorite enemy so far in this game is this Triceratops with this giant hammer. He looks so badass and I love it. And then once you do enough damage to him, the skull breaks and it's like this zombie monster thing underneath him. I love him, but you only fight this one throughout the entire campaign. And I'm just like, that's really disappointing. I love his design. But then we go through a teleporter and we see a ghost of Doku. I guess killing him did absolutely jack shit, but he teleports us away to, I guess, hell, I think. I'm not too sure where we are. And remember those sexy alien twins from earlier? Well, they're in the flesh, and they have just as much jiggle physics as Rachel. And we try to take them, but we lose, and I guess that was on purpose, and that completes chapter 14. So in conclusion, Rachel's level are just like, they're just kind of short and boring. You don't really get too much out of it besides from like little bit of details. Chapter 15, we're back to playing as Ryu. Where Doku died, we find the how do I say? Okay. Kitsu, a new weapon that I never used throughout this game. We then pull a lever and platform lowers right in front of us and in the boss room as well. We go back in the boss room to find a great elixir. We then climb up and we make our way forward to find this giant staircase. Climbing up, we find a door that's locked, and we also get a health potion. Heading back, we take the path to the right. We find a save point and we can cross some water. Entering the cave, we find a map to this area and we slide down it and enter the ice cavern. We climb up and we find a door that is locked. We then drop down and we find some ice walls that we can smash through. We smash some more and head down and we find the Shield of Vigor. We can now head back to the door to unlock it. Using the shield to unlock the door, we enter the magma cavern, and it's hot in here. Ugh. And it has that stupid heat effect again, but the only difference here is now you got a platform in it. Great. Luckily, if you fall into the lava, it does a bit of damage, but it doesn't kill you. We also find the last piece of the stone tablet, the left side, and that's all the tablet we need to complete it. But we don't need it quite yet. We smash a button and platforms raise from the lava, so we can now cross to the main exit. It's locked and we need to find 2 orbs. Eye of Flame, and the Eye of Ice. We get to the other side, find a save station, and another door that's locked, and we need another cog. We wall run to the next area. We then have to cross the seesaw. We climb up and enter the ruins. We dump the lava, so now we have to go all the way back to the ice cave. And this area is just back and forth between ice and fire. We get to the ice cave and the lava has melted all the ice, so now we can get the cog of vigor again. We use the cog to unlock the door. We enter the door and the worms are back. They do the same attacks as before, but the projectile he shoots is a bit different. It shoots like a ring of fire instead of electricity. Their health is connected. Instead of fighting two separate snakes, we just have to fight the one. And instead of water, we now get lava. So anytime they do that sweep attack and it hits you, you get flung into the lava, which is such bullshit. Because this camera angle is awful. You're looking up constantly at the worms, and since there's two, you got to keep track of what they're doing. And if you jump, half the time you land in the lava. They're a lot more annoying than the electric worms. So let's talk about the camera for a second. And honestly, most times throughout the game, it worked fine actually. There are a few times where it gets stuck up against a wall and you can't see shit. Or sometimes when you're fighting, it won't focus on the enemies and they're just completely off the screen. But most of the time, I didn't really have an issue at all. But looking at some of the reviews, it seems to be an issue that a decent amount of people had. But for me, I found it to be fine. But this boss camera angle is the worst placement I have had this entire game. So after a few tries, we take out the worm and they drop some essence. Like, oh, nice. I'm just going to go grab it. And man, that's bullshit. But we then get the Eye of Flame. We now just need to get the Eye of Ice. We head back to the ice cave. We then smash through another ice wall and we drop down to another boss. Once again, I got no health potions, but luckily we fight this pink sloth worm dude and he is really easy. He will have a tantrum and these ice balls will shoot up. He's got a grab and he has these actually annoying punches, and these punches are a lot worse than the grab actually, like surprisingly. All we gotta do is get behind him and wail on him, and he's super slow and really easy to beat. Once beaten, we get the Eye of Ice. We can now make our way back to the main door to unlock it, and we find another statue. But man, you gotta be shitting me, another boss? We now have to fight this giant dragon. I got one health potion. This dragon looks menacing, but he's actually really easy. He has like this wing attack where he shoots wind at you. He breathes fire on the platforms. He can shoot fireballs and he will try to bite you. But with this boss, it's unique because you have different platforms and you can raise the elevation, which is kind of neat. But the one thing I noticed about this boss is if you use your special, he will instantly get stunned. And it does a decent amount of damage. So all I did was just use my fireball and then use all my projectiles on him. Explosive arrows, heavy arrows, explosive shurikens. And when he got his face close, I gave him a few whacks and that was the fight. It took me my second try to beat him. Really not too bad. We then use his corpse to climb over to the exit. Chapter 16 starts off and bad attack. And we move on and we find a save and a life of a god. And in this room, it's actually kind of tricky. We fight the bugs and I was trying to figure out where to go. I'm like, this is just a dead end. But all you need to do is constantly wall run up the wall to the top. And I thought this was pretty clever actually. It was really unique. And I wish they did more stuff like this throughout the game, which it was just a lot of fun. So we get to the top and open the door and we're back in the aqueduct area. We start running and a cutscene plays. We see Gamov and the mystery figure walking around the city and they're trying to find out where Ryu is. The mystery guy asks about the Dark Dragon Blade and Gamov says it broke from its seal somehow and is now absorbing the chaos of what's been happening around us. And now it's a truly evil sword. It wasn't just evil before, it's truly evil. Even they didn't know about its true power because the ancients were careful to hide the sword's power, and now it's very powerful. And the guy's like, do you want it, Gamov? And the Gamov is like, no, yeah, excellency, it's only for you. And the mystery guy's like, good, yeah, it's mine. We then come back to Ryu and we're in the aqueduct and we got to make our way out. we now have to go all the way back to the start of the city where that snake statue was. And with all the pieces of the stone tablet, we place them in the statue and it starts to spin. It makes a portal. I'm like, oh shit. That was kind of unexpected. Ryu then travels through this wormhole, going throughout space and time, and we end up back at our village. Seems weird they built this like giant teleporter just to go there, but whatever. End up at the grave site, and Ryu stares at the grave, and I had no idea who this was. I thought this was Rachel's grave for some reason, but looking it up, it's actually the Shrine Maidens from the very beginning of the game, and that necklace is the one she dropped. We then put the stone into our sword, and it becomes the true dragon blade, and we make our way through the village. We end up at the teleporter that Rachel opened earlier. We then teleport back to the fire cave, and then we teleport again, and we end up back at the temple. And Rachel is tied up now, and fiends are trying to get her. Doku then appears from behind, and he electrifies her like the Sith Lord he is, stealing her power, and she's given it to Alma to unleash the awakening. Like, uh-oh, this can't be good, right? But turns out the awakening just transforms Alma's lower half into a centipede. It's like, oh, that's it? Oh, okay. And it's boss fight time. And it's pretty much the same boss as before. Same attacks. All we do is slash her in the air again, like we did last time, and we beat her. It's a different story when I actually have health potions. She's so much easier. Ain't that right, Alma, you hentai cow? We defeat her and she falls to the ground. She starts crawling and she looks up to see Doku appear behind Rachel to kill her. Alma's eyes then turn back to human. Ryu's booking it up there, trying to save Rachel before it's too late. And then we see Alma running up the steps as well. Alma, being the centipede creature she is, jumps in front of Doku's sword to save Rachel and promptly explodes, killing everyone, including Rachel, with this fucking nuke. And that's it. That's the end. No, I'm just kidding. She's better than ever, in fact, and she's even human now. Remember, if you ever turn into a monster, just explode. Fixes it. Doku, upset, flies away. We're now on to chapter 17, and we're in front of the pyramid. We can blow up the stairs, and we can find a secret door. And this part is the hardest part in this game so far, are these enemies called these fucking berserkers. They are strong, and I mean like really strong. They take so many hits and they're mad aggressive. They got this giant sword and they have wide attacks. They do a shoulder charge at you that can clear distance in like a second. If you're too far away, they then have two different area of effect attacks. And when they get low on health, they transform and go Super Saiyan, and then they get this crazy combo and they deal a lot of damage. And you don't just fight one. Oh no, not two, but fucking three of them. And since we just had a boss battle, I have no health. I gotta beat all three with one health bar. Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? Because I want to give him a smack. This was 10 times harder than Alma's awakening form and every boss so far, including the first Alma fight. They're that hard, and I'm not exaggerating. I quit that night. I went to bed pissed. The next day, I was grinding again, and there is a way to beat them. This part was so hard, I thought this is where I might quit, because I wouldn't be able to get past these guys. But luckily, there is a way to beat them, and it's a pretty easy one. Basically, you hold Y to do this charge attack. As soon as he gets close, you do this dash forward, slice, and you hit him. And then you just jump away, and you rinse and repeat. It doesn't look hard, but half the time, they will just block the attack or dodge. And once they go Super Saiyan, it's a lot harder. If you jump too far away, they'll just Hadouken your ass. It's just awful. You need 4 hits with that attack, and then they'll transform. And then what I just use my special to finish them off. And I finally did it. It probably took me an hour and a half to complete, but man, I did it. I just couldn't believe how hard these enemies were. Like, the bosses are easier. Why are these guys so hard? Luckily, we don't see them for the rest of the game, but I do want to say this is one of my favorite enemy designs in this game. They look badass. A lot like Summon Skulls from Yu-Gi-Oh! I really do like this enemy, but I just hated the situation I had to fight these guys in. Then get a statue of the serpent deity deity of creation. We have 3 statues now, and we need 1 more to go. The pyramid then raises from the ground, and we can now leave that cursed room. We run down the path, and we make our way to the right. It's a locked gate, but we can see Doku. Like, man, Doku doesn't give up. We then head to the left, and we find a teleporter. We head inside and get teleported to Fiend Hell, and we find the Fiend Devil. We then got to beat a few waves, and one cool thing is when you get close to the edge of this arena, the wall will raise in whatever direction you're going, and when you wall run, it keeps raising, which I thought was really cool. We complete the round, and we get the Griffin key to unlock the gate. We now enter the labyrinth, and there are these ghost fish of all things. Like, ooh, how spooky. We kill them and make our way through the labyrinth. We find a door, but we need a lion's key. We fight some fish and furries. We then fight the cat girls and we get the lion's key. We run back to the door and then can enter. We go all the way to the right side of the maze, fighting a lot of ghost fish, and these fish have dropped more money than any other enemy in this game. I now have 9,000. This is the most money I had this entire game, and it's at the very end of the game. These fish come and drop all this money. It makes no sense to me, like, but hell, I'll take it. I buy everything at the shop, and next to the shop we find the key of Lioness. We then go all the way back and we unlock door. Heading inside, we find the spirit of Doku, and it's a boss battle. Now this Doku is 10 times easier than the first one. He's got mostly the same moves. He can throw his sword a lot farther this time, but that's really it. I don't know why he's 10 times easier than the first time we fought him. Maybe I just got used to fighting him, and this time I bought so many elixirs, I pretty much just used my special, and first try I beat him. He is now officially dead, but before dying, how do you die as a ghost? I don't know. Doku gives us the curse of the fiends, and we turn into a smurf. Chapter 18 then begins, and we immediately get attacked by the ghost fish. Beating them, we get the last statue, and this part right here is the best grinding spot in this entire game. There's so many fish here, and you just have to walk through the passage and walk back, and they all spawn again. It's amazing. I wish there was more places like this in the game earlier on. I spent 8 minutes doing this. I head back to the shop, and I racked up over 65,000 orbs. Holy shit. I bought everything and everything. I upgraded all my weapons, maxed out all my elixirs, and I still had money to spare. We then move on, and we make our way all the way to the left. We end up at the giant gate where the staircase was. We find a dying spider ninja, and he's like, well, you know, I shouldn't do this, but you know, I'm kind of dying, so I'll take this. And he gives us the key to the castle and then dies. Sweet. Thanks, Ninja Man. I will forever remember you. We head back to the main castle, and we get this really cool effect where we go down the path and we'll start to spiral, so it looks like we're going upside down. It just looks really cool. I wish the game had like more levels like this. I really like this fiend area. We enter the castle, and Ainane is on top saying like, what would Ryu find? And I'm like, I don't know, Ainane. Why don't you get your ass down here and help me out? You can see for yourself. Anyways, we now enter the Imperial Palace. In this room, we fight a few waves of fiends. We defeat them, and then we can place the statues we've been collecting throughout the entire game to unlock each floor of the palace. We first use the raptor deity, which looks more like a penguin to me than a raptor, but oh, you know, whatever. We take the staircase up and we fight more fish. We then enter the next level. The door is locked, so we have to fight another wave of fiends. And then we place the wolf deity and unlock the next floor. We move up, fight more fish, and then we fight more fiends. We then place the devil deity statue, unlocking the door. The next level is the serpent deity, and we finally reach the top. We find a few things up here. We find a teleporter, a save station, and a Team Ninja logo. We save and heal up, and I head through the teleporter. No, I thought this was a challenge area. I thought we had to go somewhere else. So I fight all these fiends and make quick work of them. The devil fiend then teleports us to the next area, and it's Mr. Hentai. It's like, oh, I see. It's a gauntlet. So I slice the tentacles and start whacking. Beating him, we then go on to teleport again, and we fight more fiends. But this time, the devil fires fireballs at us. It's still really easy. We teleport again, and now we have to fight the pink sloth from the ice cave. We fight the sloth, and we get to the final level. We fight the devil himself. This wasn't a challenge area, but the way we need to go. Now, this devil, he's got a few moves. He can do this charge attack at you. He shoots fireballs and has a ground pound. He can also summon fiends to help him out, and he just flies around. The one thing about this boss fight is the special attacks do nothing to him, as well as projectiles. We can't air slash him like what we did to Alma, so we have to come up with a new strategy. That strategy I found was just to get close to him and heavy attack down. And then when he does the ground pound, we can get a few more hits in. I'm just going to say that this fiend boss is one of my favorite bosses in this game. He's just so menacing when you first see him because you have to go through a gauntlet first. Fighting two bosses beforehand makes him really scary. I just love it. The only thing is, if you die, it takes some time to reach him again. So we beat him, and now we get Demon Deity statue. So we can now head back to the top of the tower. We do a quick save, and we head back to the shop quick. I buy all the health and Talismans of Rebirth that we can carry. Back to the tower, I wanted to point this out, but the staircase here and above us is another spiral relating back to the Tower of Babylon. And at the very top is heaven. We place the demon deity statue and it opens the final floor. We can then climb up this bone mouth staircase, but before we can reach the top, the staircase collapses and we start to fall. But then we get sucked up towards the ceiling. But then we're immediately falling again and we fall into a field of flowers. We have reached heaven and we see this angel looking statue, and above his head is the dark dragon blade. But before we can reach the statue, it comes to life and all the flowers evaporate. Ryu then does some Naruto jutsu to create a flying platform. Like, when were you able to do this? It would have been helpful earlier. This turns out to be the Emperor of Vigor, and this is his angel form. It's a little weird. It turns into like this bullet hell type game where we got to dodge all of his lasers. We can move the platform left and right, and by blocking, we can go up and down. So here, all we gotta do is destroy his two arms. And I have so many items, I just end up fireballing each arm, and now we have to destroy the chest. I keep firing and hitting his chest, and we beat him just like that. I didn't even really get to see what other moves he had because it was just so quick, and I just used the ultimate. Easy peasy. But not so fast. We now have to fight his devil form, which is this weird skull body thing. He attacks by throwing skulls. He does a stomp. He mostly walks around in the lava, but he will jump to the platforms and try to slam you. And he also has a bite. But again, he's so easy. Nothing can beat the fireball boy. We finally beat the Emperor and he falls into the lava, killing him for good. And that curse that was put on us by Goku is now gone. Hoorah! And on top of the cliff, we see the Dark Blade. Chapter 19 is the final chapter. We climb up the cliff and we reach the Dark Dragon Blade. We then see Rachel ziplining down and we have to reach her before this place explodes. We wall run, swing on poles, we wall climb, shimmy all the way up top to get to Rachel, and a cutscene plays. We're now trying to escape the cave, but the smoke catches up with us. Oh no! We see the sword go flying out, but luckily we're able to make it just in time. But oh no! The mystery guy and Gamov are here, and they have the Dark Dragon Blade. He congratulates us on the win. He says the sword is wasted on Ryu. Gamov says the sword is now truly evil, and it belongs to the Dark Disciple. The mystery man, done with Gamov's shit, kills him outright. Like, damn, man, that's cold. The mystery man starts to take off his mask and reveals it's Mirai, our uncle. He uses the power of the sword and transforms into this like demon fiend. We now get to the final boss, our uncle. Mirai is very aggressive. He's got big swings and a grapple. He can teleport and he does like a dive. But like I said before, nothing stands up to the fireball. He then jumps back onto a rock and he launches this dragon at us. But luckily I have like 3 talismans of rebirth that I can use. So I die and then instantly come back and just fireball him. We then beat Mirai and he falls into the hole. We finally have the dragon sword and Ryu then destroys the sword. So now no one can ever use the sword ever again. Ryu starts to walk away and Rachel is trying to stop Ryu, but Ryu just says it's over and literally turns into a hawk and fucks right off into the sunset, leaving Rachel behind. Like, god damn, Ryu, why are you so cold to Rachel? And why didn't we just fly to Vigor in the first place rather than hopping in on an airship? We could have probably flown all the way to the last level, saving us a lot of trouble, but no, you chose to hold out on us. And that's the game. After the credits, we see Ryu back at the gravesite of the Shrine Maidens. He puts the stone back and then jumps off the cliff and flies away again. And that's the end of Ryu's journey for revenge. So at the end, it says time to complete this game. On mine, it says 11 hours, but I don't know where they get the time from since all my recordings added up over 19 hours. So maybe they don't count deaths or something. I'm not too sure on how it works. So in conclusion, what do I think? The level design is dull and generic. Graphics are meh. The story is, well, not that great. When I was playing, I forgot what was going on most of the time because the game leaves out a lot of details about the characters and the world itself. Like, I only found out Mirai was her uncle was when I was researching this game, and there's no real lore. Sure, we learn about the fiends, but that's really it about the world that we learn. And the only backstory we get is Rachel's. But Rachel's just pretty much eye candy throughout this entire game. Like, her levels didn't really add anything at all. It's like, why was Mirai evil? You know, he wanted the sword. Like, that's it. That's his only reason. You know, I just wish they had more in this game. But the saving grace for this game is the combat. It's honestly fun as hell, and it holds up 18 years later. That's actually amazing. I had so much fun fighting enemies and learning different combos, and you get plenty of different weapons to use. It was a great time trying to figure out what type of combos I could do with them. And I do love the boss fights. Now, the boss fights at like the beginning and halfway point of this game are pretty boring and generic. But I find once you get to Alma, things really start to ramp up, and it became the best part of the game. I love the boss fights at the end. I love the Fiend Devil and the Emperor. I love their designs, and I love the boss fights. They were epic. And music is also great too. It has some real banging track, you know, and it adds like the boss fights when you got that rock going. It just sounds really good. So the most important thing is, did I have fun? Yes, I had a surprisingly good time playing this game, and I actually wasn't expecting it. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. Even after all the flaws, I played till the end, and the end is the best part of this game. Sure, most things just kind of feel boring and generic, and besides from a few parts that really annoyed me, like the first Elma's boss fight and those fucking berserkers, and the currency being absolute dog shit, I didn't have too much trouble beating this game either. Was it challenging? Yes, at some parts, but I don't find it's as hard as people make it out to be. And I was only playing on normal though. I can imagine the harder difficulties being an absolute bitch, but normal felt pretty balanced to me. Like, there was never really a part where I got stuck for like a day, you know, 2 hours. The max I spent doing something was about an hour. So would I recommend it? Depends on who you are. If you like challenging games or hack and slash games, this is absolutely a no-brainer, especially if you got Xbox Game Pass. If you always wanted to try it out, I say it's worth it. What about everyone else? I would actually say give it a try at the very least. There is an easier mode, but I don't know too much about it if you're not up for a challenging game. But I would still say give it a try. Pleasantly surprised about this game. And you might have the same reaction too. If I had to give it a rating, what would I give it? Well, I would give it a... Thank you all for watching. I know it was a long one, but I hope you enjoyed it. And tell me about your experiences with Ninja Gaiden. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have a favorite boss, weapon? Or was I wrong about anything? Let me know in the comments. How well did I do with this recap? What did I do right? And what did I do wrong? Please let me know. I would love to hear your stories. And once again, if you liked the video, leave a like. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a sub. Thank you all so much for watching and have a great day.